Thank you very much. Candidate of the PDP. Now, the Nigerian economy as of today is still heavily dependent on the oil sector for its foreign exchange earnings and for other revenue. Now, what is or what will be your strategy for economic diversification? Because we have talked, government after government have talked about diversification of the economy. But each time we have seen not real effort at diversification. What will be your government's strategy for
You just said it, there's no real effort in doing that. You have to look at the components of your contribution of various sectors to your GDP. And if you look at it, one component needs to be tackled: manufacturing. No country that is doing well, if you look at the GDP of China, 40% is from manufacturing. Indonesia, 40%. Malaysia, 40%. Even in the Western world, yours is under 8, and your factories are closing down. So you need to reverse that and you need to support your SMEs properly, not just saying, I will support them, but to do it more efficiently. You can look at your loan portfolios. Today, the total loans by the banks is 19 trillion, and only 0.5%, about 5%, 0.5% of that goes to your SMEs. When in other countries, it's about 20%. So there's no way, if you can support the SMEs properly and be able to work on your manufacturing, which then leads that you must do something with your power. Because what you're generating today is too low. Look at your competitors. The lowest that you can see in the mint countries is Indonesia, that's generating 50,000 for 250 million people, and you're generating about 4,000 for 200 million.
Thank you very much. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, the candidate of the APC will be taking his turn. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for your time. Let me make another appeal to our audience, the studio audience here. Please do not cheer and do not jeer at anyone. In fact, if you do, I will have no choice but to stop the candidate who is speaking and allow you to continue the cheering or jeering, and then after that, he or she will continue, because you eat into their time when you do that. Thank you very much for respecting the rules and the guidelines of this debate. Thank you. Time now to turn to the candidate of the All Progressives Congress. And with a real GDP growth rate of 1.8% and a population growth rate of 3%, there is an indication that the poverty condition in the country may further deteriorate. What needs to be done? What should be the response?
First, let me say that our GDP has grown consistently in the past 6 quarters. It's continued to grow, and it will continue to grow. The trajectory is upwards, clearly. The second thing to note is that we are lending, and because MSMEs are extremely important, small business is extremely important, including petty trading. We are lending the highest ever to small business in Nigeria, beginning with the government enterprises and promotions, and government enterprises and empowerment scheme, where we're doing about 35 billion in the cycle. BOI is doing about another 20 billion. Aside from that, we're obtaining from the AFDB $500 million for entrepreneurship, just entrepreneurship. This is the highest lending ever to the MSME sector. I've been to 20 different states in Nigeria on what we call the MSME clinics. And in every one of those states, what we've done is that we've taken the regulatory agencies to the MSMEs. And we've set up in many of the states, a one-stop shop where the regulatory authorities function. Because one of the chief problems that MSMEs have is access to the regulatory authorities and answers to their various questions. Now that is being done. In addition to that, we've set up shared facilities in several different states. A shared facility is a place where you provide equipment, where you provide machinery that the small business cannot afford. And then the small businesses come and use it and share it. We've also put power. Infrastructure, as I said, is critical. We put power in markets just so as to be able to encourage small business. In our area market, for example, in Abia State, we now have there a 2 megawatt power plant which just supplies the market aside from solar facilities there. And that's what we've done also in Sabongari Market in Kano and several other places where we put infrastructure. Infrastructure is key to all of these things.
Thank you. Candidate of the ANN. Now, if you are elected as the Vice President of Nigeria, you will be the chairman of the National Economic Council. Now, what kind of policy collaboration will you pursue with state governments to ensure the progress of the Nigerian economy?
So we have 4 cardinal R's in Alliance for New Nigeria, which is to reduce the cost of governance, to restructure every economic leeway, which includes the SMEs. Right now, the President, Vice President talked about how they have the SME clinics. Most Nigerians have not felt the impact of these policies. What we are going to do in Alliance for New Nigeria is to ensure that every SME, the biggest problem of an SME is tax. To get a free tax cut for at least 3 years, and also to ensure that to at least ensure that all the SMEs have some, depending on the kind of business that you're doing, you have all the regulatory issues, all the bureaucracy that to operate in Nigeria as an SME will be curtailed. We also have the issue, the second R is the restructuring. Okay, the third R is the reforming of all ambits of economic policies that drives the economic hub, where what we are planning is to expand economic opportunities by building special economic zones in different zones in Nigeria, which would include the issue of the issues that we highlighted earlier on about the commercial hubs, which will reduce the bureaucracy of going to export it, also having the hubs around. We're also going to talk about the third R, which is the reorientation of our minds to ensure that policies of economic nature.
Thank you very much.